The most ethical and financial move that England has to make now is to cut out all this social media consumption and build factories to produce AI machines for Africa. Africa is the logical place to be, the manufacturing part of the world, due to its abundant resources and renewable energy in the form of solar energy. By doing this, we can give Africa the means to feed themselves and not rely on charity, while England establishes fair business relations. This will be based on a long-term agreement on a profit percentage without any debt involved. Fair trade deals on goods should also be established, as England takes accountability for its part in history. By doing so, England can compete once again and be on the right side of history. Eventually, solar farms will provide free electricity for transportation of resources, making transportation and manufacturing almost free. Elon Musk is the perfect person to invest in this, as he is already building most of these things and can provide Africa with internet capabilities. Being the manufacturing place of the world will solve energy issues in Africa and make up for a negative history. If the elite are serious about their climate change agenda, they would be wise to agree to this unless there is something they haven't been telling us. Sometimes God takes us on a journey we didn't need, but it gives us the substance to speak on certain things. There are experiences we have to go through to truly understand. I've made a promise to my dad on his deathbed, and I understand that the powers that be have made promises to your parents as well. But my promise may conflict with yours, and it may be in both of our interests to break a promise. It would be irresponsible to push an agenda without knowing who is behind it, but it isn't hard for the world to move in this direction when so many people are suffering. I get the British people in England are frustrated, as the country has changed a lot in recent times, but it is often things like a select few people within things like Islam who say things like they want to overtake England, or you'll get people who would rather England be more of a white country, but eventually the way the world is heading, it will be a more diverse world. England is just ahead of a lot of countries, and it's either going to be the best thing to happen or the worst, but it's going to be up to the people to decide. And for the ones in Islam that are ruining it for their faith, it is a fairly stupid thing to state when you want to say you're going to conquer a country that once controlled a vast amount of the world. I'm mentioning this again because I don't want the Muslim people to fall into that trap. I know the good Muslims appreciate what England has offered you. Now, I also understand we very much live by the words, if we don't do it, someone else will, in terms of most technology, etc. But I do sometimes question if the good people are the ones in control of such things, but I guess time is going to tell very soon. It's been interesting in a lot of the years I've been through, most recently, as gaslighting is a form of controlling someone to get them to conform to what you want from them, and to make them question their sanity. And it seems God works in mysterious ways. The very thing that's been used to break me would likely be the very thing that would be used to break a government into slowly having to comply with what's best for the people. I believe there is going to be a process where things will happen in such a subtle way that the government will have issues they can't control, and it will be done in a slow way that in the end, they will be given the chance to either do the right thing or commit genocide on their people. Now, that being said, I think as people we are more often our own worst enemies. The average person doesn't have a lot of the issues we're made to believe. Most people are getting along with different races and religions daily. The leaders of all races and religions are living their heaven while they convince you the world is bad. There is bad, but most of that is caused by greed and poor management of the world. I have a strange relationship with God simply based on history. But I think now we are just living in a time where technology is making it easier for the world to be aware and more conscious. But without taking action, nothing is going to change. Things like homelessness are one of the easiest things to fix, in my opinion. A charity that simply gave homeless people a contactless payment machine. People can donate to the person's account, which can only be spent on housing, and when they have enough, it will help get them into secure housing. But this is also another example of how some things seem like they are done by design. This starts heading down towards the idea of controlled digital money. Before doing this, I've had people tell me that Muslims don't care about us, Jews don't care about us, Asian and black people don't care about us, but I'm not a person to listen to other people. if it doesn't make sense to me. Out of all of them, I would understand certain things in my life certainly could have been influenced in ways by black people, the good and bad, but it isn't something I'm even mad about or overly happy about. If anything, I understand more for them. They would have had to do things like history has done to them to ensure their progression and survival. As the power struggle they have had, they, more than anyone, have to make sure history doesn't repeat itself. And if this is something that's been guided by a higher power, or I've just taken the right information and done my best with it along the way, I would also understand why it would be a white person who doesn't mind going against his race to do the right thing. As the way the world currently is, I don't think it would have the support it might get if it wasn't like this. I think now more than ever we need people who are going to be the bridges we need between races and religions alike, because the people trying to divide the world ain't given in, but the good people of the world outnumber the bad by the billions. Now, there could have been a lot more in this video, and maybe there are things that shouldn't be in this video, but certain things have had to be in this video as I'm tired of the world taking kindness for weakness. And sometimes knowing a bad thing is going to happen to someone, and letting it happen doesn't make you a savior by helping after it makes you as bad as the person who planned it. And if this makes it to anyone in America, you need to wake up. What is happening in your country with your people, like school shootings, etc., isn't something normal. And you need to start thinking about what is happening. You won't let your government take your guns away from you because you don't trust your government, but you sit back and watch them make bad decision after bad decision, which is directly affecting you. What the answer is, I don't directly know, but if you don't wake up, you're going to end up in wars that are only going to affect the people who make the country function. Stop being convinced war is the only answer. The powers that be for sure believe in God. That is why they have to convince you to do the killing for them. It's not about left versus right, bottom versus the top, east versus west. It's as simple as good versus evil. While maintaining control of our countries while things change for the better just because we have. Building massive armies and machines doesn't mean we have to use them. Currently in the West, you have to ask yourself, why is all the propaganda pointed at us? Has the West made many mistakes? Yes, but you can't make decisions without knowing other countries' secrets as well. No country is without sin. And like we have people in other countries to cause political problems, it's only logic they do as well. I turned down my invite to the Masons because I don't know who is at the top, and I have a problem with authority regardless of where it is. And I wouldn't be a part of something without knowing their intentions, and I wouldn't be a part of something unless I was able to bring it down if it was corrupted with evil. That being said, there has been a massive influence of something in my life, and I think this is the only way to get the answers I've wanted. Before we get near the end, a few years back, I questioned the Bible. I never understood. There shall be no killing in the Bible. I never understood how one can the good win if evil is prepared to kill, and I'm not saying it is the answer, but a simulated global attack on evil, arresting them all and arming all the good people was the only solution I could come up with. And what are the chances it would happen at this time with the technology available for it to happen with the current situation of the world? And if this touches a nerve for you, then you must not see yourself as a good person. And what could you classify as evil? I would say someone with the power to change the way the world is and is choosing not to. And this idea or programming that's been going on has come directly from a program likely created for good, but it's very clear to see the powers that be have turned it into a weapon of war for their agenda. My favorite quote I have lived by so far: ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidly, pride is the burden of a foolish man.